Shalom, shalom, Yasharal, shalom, shalom, Mashpaka, shalom, shalom. Trust everybody's having an awesome fourth Yom of the week. Yeah, I believe we're on the fourth Yom. And, check it out. Look at the sky. Looks like the ocean's in the sky. Look at that. Looks all cool, right? Look at that. Do you see what I see? Crazy. Yeah, look at that all around. It's beautiful. Stark and gloomy. Nice and shady. I like it like that. That's how I like it. And so, I posted a scripture on this from YashaYAHu 32, and has to do with what we're seeing today. Because I noticed another pattern is, when I share the word of Yah, it kind of goes, what starts manifesting is the reign of Yah, the Shamayim reign on earth, because I guess I tend to be operating more in line with his desire, with his word, so his realm starts to manifest more and to the measure. So the more I do it, to like when I'm magnifying him in a very high vibration, a very high way, like to the measure. When that measure is really full, it starts even shifting the sky, the weather. Because somebody mentioned that, oh yeah, they said it was gonna be raining today or gloom, but I didn't hear that. I actually heard like yesterday someone saying that it's supposed to be really hot for the next couple of days, like really hot and sunny. So I think two paradigms collided there, or just trying to put a rational. Someone's trying maybe implant it with the rational, reasoning, making it seem like it was supposed to be that way. Because people know how I feel about this. I say these certain things, but I'm noticing every time I really get on my word, on the word of Yah, preaching it, teaching it, like I've been doing the videos, and then I read it, and especially when you read, like the cherry on top is reading. Like I'll do a video, I'll share, I'll teach, so I pour out, I nourish the people, but then I'll go make sure I nourish myself by reading the word at night. I'll make time, because if I don't read at night and I'm just doing live, if I'm missing one of the elements, it's like being on a diet and you're missing the protein. Like if you're eating a bunch of cereal, and you're working out, but you're only eating like, bread and chips and like ramen noodle soup, like carbs and stuff, and cookies, and you're not eating protein, you're not getting eggs, you're not getting vegetables or fruit, and you're trying to be on a workout diet, oh, you're gonna have some problems. You're gonna be in bad shape, because you got to get all those nutrients in. And so I feel like that's how it is even with the word of Yah. Like if you're gonna be sharing the word of Yah, you're sparring, you're going to work, you're battling, you're fighting intrusive thoughts and things that try to mess with your head. Like you don't know this, but every time I come out here and do a live video, it seems like I'm just like flowing it nicely. But you notice those pauses I have? A lot of those times I'm having an intrusive thought, like in a moment, that's trying to like get me off what I'm trying to say, losing my track of thought. It's like freestyling, like when I used to freestyle, I'd have everything I want to say. It just praise Yah, especially if it's in the context of praising Yah. It just kind of comes to me, and I already see the next line before it happens, like the next word with the next line, the context of what I'm about to say. It's already given to me, and I just got to fill in the blank. I just got to write it down or say it, right? Parabolically. I just got to say it. And it's that way when I do these live videos. He gives me a topic, something I want to talk about, and all the ideas are there for like maybe 3 or 4 lines. But as I'm saying 1 and 2, the enemy's already trying to project some distraction thought that makes it seem like it's going in line with what I'm saying. But when I go into that other thought, all of a sudden I forget line 3 and 4, and I'm like, and I get stuck. Then I have to go back and I have to like, yeah, so like I was saying, and then I have to like try to keep it focused on that, because it's spiritual warfare. I'm out here. It just looks like I'm talking, but in the spiritual realm, we're doing Rocky Balboa, and we're in a, not even Rocky Balboa. I say more like doing a little Floyd Mayweather. I say him because, yeah, he may have been a little bit more, his fighting style was more tactical than it was bold, and because he was fighting more from the defense. You wait for you to shoot your shot, then he'll shoot. But or even Canelo, right? But what I'm trying to get at is I try to make sure that I'm being tactical, not missing my words, not missing what I'm trying to say, not stumbling in the sense that I'm not saying any pagan words. I'm not saying anything from a source that's from my own flesh, from the intrusive thought of the enemy, saying what he wants me to say, making sure all my motives and everything's in line with the word of Yah. And so that's the battle. So in the form of words, it looks like I'm talking, but in the spiritual realm, I'm in a boxing match trying to say what I feel Yahuwah is inspiring me to say. And when the more on point I am on it to the measure, and the more I really make sure like I'm very dedicated, the more commitment I have for it, like I commit to the word, like to really make sure you understand what I'm saying. Because there's been times I have the message, I understand it, and I'm sorry to say this, I just feel like y'all aren't gonna understand it, so I maybe don't spend much time, or I bypass it, or don't say it fully in depth, because I'm like, well, y'all probably don't understand what I'm saying anyway, so I'm not gonna take the time to go through that rabbit trail to break it down fully in depth, because it's probably gonna sound crazy anyway, so it's gonna only work against me. But y'all seen the past couple videos, I've been kind of committing more in depth, as crazy as the things sound, but I know it's true. I know it's been my experience. I know, at least in one realm, one paradigm, it is a real thing. The way the enemy operates, there's truth in those things, and it's operating in your high, your reality to some measure. Beep, there goes the honks, man. They always got my back. Every time the video cut off, by the way, yesterday. But what I was saying is, and I was having intrusive moments. Like, you saw me, I was stumbling. Look where I was at. I was around. There was a lot of energy out there that day. There's a dance going on, this and that. I let myself get distracted by the dance a little bit. I was kind of watching. Remember in the video, I said I got to step away because I was feeling like I was getting distracted. Even though I said I want to give them their space, I'm learning to like kind of make sure I say things in a way that, always, shows a little respect, and like put it on myself, because it was a double-edged sword. It was both. But I wasn't getting distracted. That's not their problem. It's my problem. So both ways, it was mine. Like, I was getting distracted. Let me give them their space anyways. I can be making them feel comfortable. I'm talking loud. But nonetheless, I got a little distracted for a moment. But it's in those moments where you get that little distraction at the subconscious level that is coded with some kind of weaponized. That's a Trojan horse. We're talking about the Trojan horses. It can be like when people give you something. Thank you, Fly. See the Fly bearing witness. Like, yeah, hit it. You're on point. Creation one with me. The birds start flying around me. Reality start coming out, and the trees, the wind, everything will start blowing. The sky, you already see it. It's got my back. But the Fly right now just did that. I felt his energy. Like, that's right. Like, hit it. Like, preach. Tell them the truth, the cosmic realm stuff. So I was talking about the Trojan horse parable. Like, someone's offering you something that's coming in an unclean way, an unclean manner, unclean spirit. They got an unclean thing with them. If the thing's unclean, write it off. But if they're unclean in some spiritual way because of their intention, you can feel the intention's not out of pure love, brotherly love. You feel like they're only giving you this because they want to get something from you, or they're just trying to, maybe it's a demon in the flesh. Sometimes it's demons in the flesh. Once you start really getting to that narrow gate, if the earthly realm couldn't trip you up, they got to start amping it up and bringing out the big guns. And the big guns is the spiritual realm colliding with your reality, your realm, and they start bringing all kinds of demonic spiritual things manifest in the flesh that are coded to be unclean, to curse you. That's what starts happening. And so it can be physical objects, but it don't even have to be physical objects. Yesterday I brought up the example of physical objects, and I'm glad we did that because we're breaking it down slow, because now to take that to the next level, it can be a distracting thought. That could be the Trojan horse. I said Trojan horse is when they give you something, you take it, and you eat it, it like dissolves and loosens unclean spirits to harm you, harm your finances, harm your provisions, your baraka, your favor, all that. Your influence, your strength. It can take anything, whatever Yahuwah allows. Yahuwah's in the midst. They're not just doing it without Yahuwah approving it. Like, it's not out of order, but Yahuwah's trying to show you how things work too, though. Like, this is how spiritual warfare really works. Remember, Yahusha said, greater things you shall do. These are those greater things too. This goes in that category of greater things. Like, this is how spiritual warfare works. This is how we fight back. This is how you understand it. So Trojan horse can be, it doesn't have to be food. It can be something like an object. I talked about the tent. Someone gave me a tent and they were a counterpart. The tent was a counterpart of them. It was spiritually like heightened to like put me in a state of lust and intrusive thoughts, the feeling. It was projecting on the walls and I gave in and I got arrested. I told you about that. But and that's yesterday real quick. That's where the video cut off yesterday. I was trying to say how your house can do that. And what I was trying to say was, the house, if you're on the team with the enemy already, it's just gonna be ignorance is bliss. Like you're gonna be feeling like you're living your best kind now, but the house might even be projecting that vibe. Like I was talking about, like if you're getting high, you're not thinking about the word, you're just wanting to do what the world does, you're thinking about worldly things, then they're gonna give you a nice high. You're gonna feel all cool and all nice, and it's gonna feel like you're like, just like floating. It's gonna feel like a dream. It's gonna feel all nice. Those are demons doing that. They give you like a counterfeit spirit, but that's with weed. But they do that in like a household experience. If you're like loving, your best, like living your best life now, enjoying things, indulging in this world, not really focusing on Yah as much, like knowing there's things that are compromised, like things that spiritually are involved with, like what Yah don't like maybe you're listening to like hip-hop music in the car, but you may feel like, oh well, we don't engage in that, we just like the music, but you still listen to those kind of things are played in the house or whatnot, but you're cool with it and you're bumping to it, you're giving it your allegiance, you're bowing down to that image in a sense. Well, it's gonna code your house with the energy of like, it's gonna feel all warm and fuzzy, and it's gonna feel lovely. It's gonna feel like nice and relaxing, and they can make it feel like a drug, like a high, like you're at peace, like there's home, like there's peace in the home. There's all this, like it just feels right, they make it feel nice. But when you start removing those worldly, elements from your home, the music, the language, the movies, the watch, start thinking just more on the word. Let it be more chill and quiet. And they'll start manifesting, they'll start disrupting your flow, they'll start making the house feel maybe even like heavier. They can fill the home with like emotional charge. They can make it feel like depressing. They can kind of manipulate the vibe in the house. They can make it feel depressing, like you don't want to be home, like, or you just you feel you can feel like you're having a foggy mind. They can make you sick, like I was saying, after like 2 weeks building up energy against being focused on the word, but maybe even still giving it to the house, they weaponize it and put it back on you. Then all of a sudden they're making me feel depressed. They can do all those things, but what they're really trying to do is like depress you. What will probably make me feel better? I'm gonna put on a movie. Like I'm feeling kind of like I'm in a funk right now. I just want to watch a movie, eat some popcorn, and then it's like, kind of selling out in little moments, but it's like you're having your cake and eating. You're like living your best high now. Because like what does scripture say? Those who love their high shall lose it. But those who lose it, like delayed gratification, don't just rest for the McDonald's ice cream. Wait till you get to the end and get the Sunday. I hate that part, because Sunday's like the first day, like the pagan day worship, reverence. So I gotta change that analogy. But it's like, let's say I like going to like a steakhouse, right? But y'all pull over and stop at 7-Eleven, get some beef jerky, or whatever. But I just stick with the ice cream analogy. So that's what this world is like. It's like we're on the trip waiting to get to the end because we're going to get a big ice cream sundae. But, we're kids in the car. We want it now. We don't want to wait an hour till we get to Dairy Queen. So we're going to go ahead and just rest for the... can we just pull over McDonald's and have that $1, ice cream and we're cool? That's what this life is. When you get what you want now, you already cashed it in for, the McDonald's ice cream, and that's it. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, you already done jumped in the chocolate and got what you wanted. You don't play with the squirrel's nuts. You know what I'm saying? You don't play with nuts all day, play with the squirrel's nuts. You done ate the blueberry you weren't supposed to eat. But you gotta be like Charlie. He's just gonna walk with the Creator, examine the creation, and see how He intended for things to go, and then wait at the end. Then you get the new heaven, newer. Then you get eternity. But you gotta show you're worthy by delayed gratification. Don't live your best life now. Don't try to get it all in and enjoy it. You're just trying to survive and maintain, delay all those little pleasures. So whenever you feel all depressed and like a movie's gonna fix it, yeah, I get weak sometimes, and you might try it out, but be mindful of like, just be mindful of the experience, because Yahuwah will allow it. You know, I'm not saying like, oh, you watch a movie, you're going to hell, but sometimes it is overwhelming. Like, it's almost like you got to. Like, sometimes you got to experience that. You got to go through that path. Don't get me wrong, because I've had those moments, but examine everything. First off, watch a movie, if anything, to kind of alleviate as much as you can from the enemy coding it with anything negative. Watch things that are pure, like that have a nice message, you know, a nice joyful ending, that have a lesson to it, you know, like one of those positive, uplifting movies that have a message at the end. You know, those kind of things are cool. You know, there's plenty of things from old school kids movie were the best. I was a 90s kid, so I was watching, you know, movies like Angels in the Outfield. It's like a sport movie, but it's got that, you know, biblical dynamic to it. You got Rookie of the Year, doesn't necessarily have a biblical dynamic. It's a little kid sport movie, like if your kids like sports, but it's got that family, you know, dynamic to it, you know, like love and stuff, and like choosing to just be with your friends and not grow too fast, like that dynamic. You got My Girl, you got there's a little bit of witchcraft in that, ain't gonna lie. So that's where it's eat the meat, spit the bones. You know, it's like how you focus on it. You got I like stuff like The Little Giants, you know, kids movies when I was growing up. So you can let your kids watch that. You know, cartoons. I mean, there's only a handful. You know, there's Puzzle Place. That was kind of cool. Like, you know, little anomaly things. Some of it was a little weird. Like, you got Sesame Street, but then they got the Count Dracula and certain things that were already prepping kids up for like certain pagan days and ways in the world and whatnot. They're putting culture in those things. Puzzle Place doesn't put the culture stuff in there. It just puts in ABC 1, 2, 3 what you need, and it puts in the culture of like love and integration. You know, mixed races. How do you say that? Like that diversity of racial, diversity. You know, it's all in the movie or in Puzzle Plays, the show. But nonetheless, don't even do it if you can. That's just there like as a backup. But what you'll find is you do anything outside of those things you watch like a scary movie or a serious killing movie, or it can be an action movie or something that has a lot of sexual, like a relationship movie, or just a fornicating movie, like with dude meets girl and there's a lot of sleeping around. Oh yeah, it's gonna code into you at the subconscious level. It's already dictating your thoughts and how you and your projection of reality and what's in your mind. You might even, and truth be told, people don't want to stay that up in the room. They go into, people have moments where they kind of space out and go into fantasy land and vanity land and imagination land, and they're having fantasies, vanities, and imaginations about the stuff they watch, and they're kind of thinking about the movie. It's like they're watching it, and while you're watching that movie, it's like it's stealing eternal substance out of you. It's plucking out. It's like being distracted. It's like, hey, look at this show, and you're like, check this out. It's like in a parabolic way, in the real reality, what's going on in the cosmic realm. It's like when people like put a little show on for you, so that the homeboy Ocean's 11. Thank you, YashaYAHu. Ocean's 11, like, you know, someone creates a diversion, and then someone does it, but then the players are all sneaking in. They're stealing the from the account. They're robbing the casino and whatnot. You're the casino. You got all this eternal peace, love, and joy, all this real substance. But you watch these movies, you give into things of vanities, fantasies, imaginations in your head. That's you being distracted. That's the diversion. Demonic spirits are going in the background. They're robbing your peace, love, and joy. It's basically what you see when you get on Facebook and you're just scrolling through and giving it to the vanities. You're giving it your energy and you're getting nothing in return. Then what happens when you're done? You feel like crap. You feel like you wasted your entire day, your entire BS. Even though it kind of pleasured your flesh for a moment, it was just a show. It was just amusement. And in Greek, a word amusement means amuse, no, to think. Amuse, a is, so it means to not think. That's what amusement means. So like it puts you in a brain dead state to not think, not process, not get anything substantial, intellectually, spiritually, not to be edified, peace, love, and joy, any kind of way. When you entertaining these vanities, like you watch a movie, you watch TikTok, you watch all this BS. It feels great at the moment. It's tickling your flesh. It's like sugar, but then you got that sugar crash afterwards. You feel like crap afterwards. you've eaten ice cream and then you get that stomach ache. You get that, oh, my head hurts. You get that nasty sugar side effect. That's what the world does. But it's so hard not to do it because it feels like, well, I just need a little bit of ice cream. I just need a little bit of sugar. I just need to watch a movie. I just need to watch a little TikTok, tickle that part of me, and I'll feel better. But it becomes an addiction because what's really going on, the interaction between your soul and the device, your soul saying, I'm still not getting what I need out of this. It's not, but your flesh is saying, oh, this is awesome. I'm enjoying this. Tickle me all day because it's flesh. It's materialistic. It's touch me, please me, tickle me, squeeze me. So it's getting that out of the eyes, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life, what you're watching, TikTok, the entertainment, but your soul's saying, I'm still hungry. So then that's where it puts you in this vicious cycle. Flip it to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, because you're still craving it. It's starting to rain, praise Yah. This word is making it rain. What? I promise you, it's starting to, let's see. I'm not even going to do that because they're going to distract the moment, but even that can, look, little drops. But it's like, it's going to the measure of the word I'm giving. It's like I can feel the clouds been thickening as I've been speaking, and it's starting to rain. But praise Yah. Get this message, like process this stuff. This is the stuff that the word, meditating, reading the word is supposed to, like the results you get out of it. You know what I'm saying? But you're getting it for free. So it's like you're right now kind of bypassing a lot of the biblical teachings. Like we did all the heavy lifting for you. You ever see like, you got companies where they discovered gold and oil and or whatever, and they crafted the stuff into what it is today, and now you work there. You don't even have to do the hard work they did. You just gotta like put it in the slot and press the machine, press the button, put in the conveyor belt, and it's like easier for you. If that makes sense. Like those things that back then they had to do it this way, but they did all the heavy part, got all the resources. Now it's easy. Now we can extract from it better, kind of thing, And so that's kind of how this is. Like we already did the heavy lifting of, reading the word, living the word, meditating on the word, what it should look like, Yahuwah is speaking to us, this and that, and you do so much of the commandments. That's where it's at. Just reading the Bible, meditating on the commandments, that itself is like a pill. Imagine reading it, living it, meditating on it is a pill in the cosmic realm. It's like this pill right here is you reading it, meditating on it, and all that. You take that pill and it dissolves, and what the pills do, they turn into something else, right? Like you got stuff that's an anabolic steroid. At first it's this chemical and a vitamin, but then it turns into something else inside. It dissolves and does something else, right? Chemical reaction. That's what reading and all that is. On the surface level, it just looks like, oh, I'm reading and I'm doing this, so I'm just getting knowledge of what I'm reading and understanding and living it. That's all surface level, natural realm stuff. On the cosmic realm, on the eternal side, it dissolves and you get like this eternal peace, love, and joy that comes with it, yeah. But you get this stuff, all this stuff. What it does is it gives you a lens, like it accumulates, like to the measure they read and study, and it like builds up energy to all the knowledge is energy too, and it bing, and it's like you now unlock eyes to see, and you can like see through reality, the ones and zeros. You can discern what you're looking at, see through the BS. You know what's happening, why it's happening, who the players are, what their purpose is, how the enemy's using them, how they're operating, how the duality dynamic, how it can be right or wrong, and how you should look at it. Just opens your eyes, but then you gotta learn to see how to operate in that too. But it's what I'm talking about, like everything whatever you give energy to powers up that thing so that it can loosen more, recycle more of that into the world. Like let's say a person's reality, they're tempted to drink. They start drinking, and they start thinking about drinking because things in the reality is putting drink on their mind. People are calling them like, I'm trying to get this drink. Now they're thinking about drink. Now they start to drink, and that thought is energy. So what they're really doing is snowballing this energetic thought of drinking. All of a sudden everybody's in the mood to drink. And bad thing is, it's a double-edged sword, because by me giving that example, I could be doing that thing right now, and I could be loosening the thoughts of drinking. Nobody was thinking about drinking right now until I said it, and all of a sudden, not because I said and they heard me, but imagine if they heard me in the cosmic realm level, like this Facebook cosmic realm version, where it's like no one saw me say it, but they still like heard it like you're watching this, but without seeing it. It's in the air. It's like you're losing. It's like we're all 5G Wi-Fi signals, and we can loosen messages in the signal. And as the same play on word set goes, I'm picking up what you're putting down, or picking up what you're putting out. In other words, like whatever you're thinking, your thoughts are going in the air, and whoever's looking for anything close to that in the air, they're magnetizing, they're attracting those thoughts. If they're kind of similarly related to those things. So, but no drinking. I was talking about lately. What was the video I did the week before last? It was about. I mentioned something about lust, right? I talked about lust is when it's not looking at a woman and admiring her beauty, her loveliness, like admiring her craftsmanship. You can look at her, you can check her out, you can be like, she's lovely. Where it becomes lust is when you have the insatiable desire, the intention that you're gonna try to go get it, that you have in your mind, like you're already dwelling on it. You can't get it out your head, and you're pulling back around. That's what lust is. And especially if she's married, right? Then it's becoming adultery in your heart with her, because especially if she's married, it's to the measure of what you know. But you go back and like, well, I just want to see if she's with somebody or not, because you may not know. You can go back and do that too. That's still not wrong. That's still not lust. You can actually see a lovely woman on the street walking, and you genuinely be like, she's so lovely, I actually do want to try to talk to her and get to know her and be interested. I'm interested in her, and I want to see what she's about. I want to see what she's like. That's as far as it goes. You don't do nothing else until you get that established. So you turn back and you talk to her. How you doing? I saw you. And she might be something you don't like. Your thought process might expose itself, and she might be very superficial, vanity, so materialistic. Something you don't like. She might be all selfish, like you could tell she's not worried about no one but herself. Like she don't care about you. Like as a genuine human being, she's talking with you because you're interacting, but you can, or whatever. It can be something you're not vibing with, and so that's it. You let it go, because any kind of interaction you have with anybody, if you want a long-term thing, you got to establish those first things first. Because if your mind's like, oh, well, I can look past that because she's still fine, I care less about that, I'm just trying to get in there, you're already in the wrong. You commit adultery in your life. Because the only reason, let's say you do like the woman, you go back, talk to her, she's cool, doesn't mean like, okay, now, I found out she's single, now I can have the intention to, lust after her sexually and crave her. You still can't do that, because you want that to be more real than it is imaginative. And so, great, y'all are hitting it off. Enjoy the friendship. Say let me see if we're compatible as friends first, before you even think about what she's like in bed. Because the only reason you should be thinking about what a woman is like in bed is if you've already committed in your heart that she's the one you want to marry, have children with. That's what that's about. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not about, I want to see what she's like in bed. It's, I want to see if she's worthy to have children with. See how blind we are? See how corrupt we are? None of us were thinking those things, not even me. The Ruach is giving it to me moment by moment as I'm going. Because those other thoughts are thoughts that I would have, and he's correcting me through myself live. I'm like, oh shoot, like he's really just talking to me, through me, for all of us, Because that's how I would think. I'd be like, okay, I met her, she seems cool, she's not married, now I can go ahead and wonder what, like, have that, maybe sexual interest in her, and wonder what that's like. And Yahuwah's like, no, you can't even do that, because now you have to see what she's like as far as a long-term friend goes. Like, you want to get to know her as a friend. Can she be a best friend? First, you want to see if you can be best friends. That should be the agenda. Like, make some memories together. Not even enjoy time. See, we think make memories is like vanity, go out, have some fun. Like, yeah, man, what did boy Kirk say? I was already on that. I had understood that before Kirk said it at the subconscious level, because I never really fully stopped to look at it and dissect it and acknowledge it. But I've always pretty much understood that You know, when you have somebody, a partner, and if you want to know if you're compatible, then you're going to have to go through some crap together to see what y'all are like in the crap, you know? And that's what Kirk said. You know, he said that too. Like, don't try to look for fun times. Like, yeah, you want to enjoy each other, go out to eat, whatever, but don't expect to know them through the fun times. In other words, what he was trying to say, don't think like that's going to define your relationship because of how well y'all enjoy each other's company and how y'all have fun together. It's on the same page. That's nothing. How do y'all do high together? You know, how do y'all process finances together when it comes to finances and paying bills? How do y'all organize that? Are y'all on the same page about that? Can y'all get down on the same program together, diet wise, grocery spending wise? Like, as y'all get more intimate, close as friends, you know, just being organized. Y'all on the same page, or things happen, you know, accidents, tire, car crash, little big things. And how do y'all go about that? Do y'all blame each other? Like, I told you not to this, or you're more like UK, it's all right, don't worry about it, I'm not mad at you. Stuff happens. I just want to make sure you're all right. Like, how do y'all seeing the ugly side, right? Like, you gotta allow things to expose the worst in you just to make sure that y'all can handle it, or how do y'all work with it? Or maybe the worst, because of how much they love you, how awesome you are, it dies out because if someone really cares about you, you're gonna kill it off your worst side because you only want to give them your best. You feel me? That's how you know someone really cares about you and loves you, or that you really care about and love them. You know, when you know you got somebody there of value, that even though you know you can get ugly and you have this side, you know what? They're that moment. Praise God for his strength and his inspiration and the tool he used, that person, to give you the motivation and the power that you now needed to cut off your aggressive side, or your complaining side, your worrying side, your self-entitled, selfish side, whatever it is you got that's not, you know, it's not a true part about you, but because you don't want this person to see that or experience that, y'all use them because you care about them and love them. You're not gonna put that, you know, that burden on them. You're gonna circumcise and hurt yourself for them, you know, to your hurt. You know, don't make people a victim of your emotions. You see what I'm saying? So y'all does that. You gotta do all that, and y'all's telling me this right now as I'm doing this. This ain't me. This y'all telling me. I'm inside myself like, oh, okay. There's a part of me that's going like, wow, this is awesome. I didn't think about all that. And so you gotta do all that before you can think about. All right, I think. See, in my mind, I'm thinking now I have sex. Now I can think about what it's like to have sex with, like, to experience that with her. And he was like, nope, you got to have all that established before you can think about, I want to have a baby with this person. Stop thinking about sex. Sex is just it just comes with the package. It comes with the territory. It comes with the reward, the barack of having a child, of making a baby, growing a family together. It's just part of the side effect. Sex is just a side effect. You're making that everything. You got an idol. You know, that's a fleshly idol. That moment of you know, of pleasure, you know, when you get that relief, if you're doing it with that person for that moment and it's all physical, natural, it's not even love. It's just glorified masturbation. You're using her as a hand. She's just a giant, you know, material hand, something to get you off because that's what you wanted her for. If you didn't establish all the other relational things first, you know, how y'all work on finances together, how y'all see things, view things, how y'all manage things together. If you can't get all that stuff established first, and be one-minded on that and find peace there and circumcise your own heart and get rid of certain shortcomings you have because you love them so much. You don't want them to see that ugly side, so you're going to kill yourself, impale your fleshly man, put it on the top, prune yourself, circumcise your own flesh, prune yourself so you bear more fruit for her sake and for the sake of Yah, because it's his strength. This is his playing field. This is his ingredients. This is his circumstance that he provided for you to make you a better you. So he gave you the strength to do all these things and to acknowledge these things, and you use them and you do it. You know what I'm saying? So you do that. But if you haven't even done that, and you're just thinking about sex, like we're together now, we rushed it because we're ready to have sex, then it's just lust. It's just fornication. It's just glorified masturbation. I ain't using the word glorified because it's not Kadash, but in this context, that word That's where that word goes there. Because glorified is sun worship. Is a sun worship word of esteeming paganism. And this is paganism. So that's why I say it's glorified masturbation. It's paganism, masturbation. It's paganism, love. It's pagan love. It's glorified pagan it's paganized. It's glorified pagan love. Glorified masturbation. So you gotta think of all those things first. That's the real way to do it by the word. Now here's what I'm getting at. All that to say, I talked about that a couple days ago. I'm glad I brought it up because YashaYAHu, we got to go more in depth. I didn't do all this. But I loosed it in the air is what I'm saying. I put it in the air and it got picked up as a topic, and I became the theme of the universe that YashaYAHu was going to allow to project out into the reality. Because all of a sudden, the next day, like a day or two later, which was yesterday, forgive me, that was yesterday, I had to do my domestic violence class. You know, I have a Zoom class that I do online, and it's domestic violence. We're talking about problems and issues like they think you got anger issues, and even though whatever, it is what it is. But nonetheless, the topic yesterday ended up being about sex. Like they're talking about like what's healthy sexuality, how do you define it? I told them all this, and they were like blown away. And so I had time. I said something different yesterday, actually. So I'm hitting on different topics. But what I said yesterday was in line with this, and they're blown away. And it was about what defines healthy sexuality, and I said basically what I said. Nonetheless, what I'm trying to get as I spoke on that. We don't ever talk about sex. It's kind of like let's talk about sex. I don't want to say that other word, but. That's the theme of the week. It's been sex. And so, because I talked about it 2 days ago, yesterday was the topic of our Zoom meeting, and you don't talk about sex in an anger management class. So that was kind of like an anomaly or out of the ordinary. But it's just one of those things like, hey, just something to touch on. Just they want to talk about it. But I felt like maybe it was inspired because we had talked about like YashaYAHu. And it's really not me. I don't mean to be like, oh, I brought it up, so now everybody's talking. We're all connected. We're all talking about it because YashaYAHu decided it's time for us to think on it and put it in the air. Like we got something to, as a collective, as a body of Yahusha, as a body of his created beings, as a body, members of him and extensions of him to some degree. Hey, he wanted to put on the table and say, all right, let's address sex now. We talk a lot about this. We talk a lot about the law, the 12 tribes, for the Ruach, spiritual things. And it was like, let's talk about sex. And so yesterday, let's kind of hit some points too. He said, the lady, he was a man and lady, well, how do you define healthy sexuality? And I first spoke. They said they wanted to hear us speak first. And I said, well, I think how I define healthy sexuality is defined it's defined differently by everybody, depending on the paradigm that they grew up in, the cultural and the morals, the values, and the perception of reality and how they grew up. For example, for me, I grew up Catholic, religious, and I was taught, I went to CCA. I went to do my Catholic thing, my communion and confirmation, all that Catholic stuff. And so I remember they were teaching us there early on, and my mom would even kind of bring it up every now and then. It was like, don't sexualize women, or love your neighbor as yourself. Don't have hate in your heart, love everybody. But then also, like, one thing she was saying, even the classes were teaching me, was like, if you look at a woman lustfully, like sexually, you already committed adultery in your heart. They brought that up as a kid. But as a kid, I understood it maybe wrong. That's why I brought it up now, because I was correcting myself when I said it just now, what lust really is. Because in my mind, I took it to the fullest. I was hard on myself. I was wound up too tight. I was thinking that it meant if you even look at a woman, just in general at all, to admire her, you're already lusting after her. So in my mind, I'm thinking I thought it was a sin to even look at women. So when like pretty girls came on the TV, I would get like shy and embarrassed, and I kind of look away because I know I'm not supposed to be looking at it. But praise Yah, like at the time I didn't know how to see it, but my dad was being a man about it. He was like, oh yeah, like check that out right there. And I was like, I kind of looked, but then like I look away like, no dad, like I can't, but like But I think he was just being a man, a healthy man, wanted to make sure that I was heterosexual, want to see where I was with that, but I was just like, oh no, like I had convictions already. And then so I would always be that way. I would like if I see a beautiful, lovely woman back then when I was a kid, I would kind of like look away or get away from them, like they were like evil, like body shaming, like shaming them for being lovely in my eyes and like treating them differently, like they're sin, like oh you're tainted because you're appealing, and that's wrong. And so I struggled with that. And I wasn't the entire childhood. It was like I would suppress it, like they say suppressing, like when you impose religion, or like the Russians, they suppress sexuality, like they weren't even allowed to kiss on camera. And what happened with Russians? Once they finally had that chance to unleash, oh, they exploded with lust. They're like now the head of sexual, things. Like Russian culture is known for the women being very sexual now because they were suppressed for so long. So as a culture, they just blew up with it. I think America's done a great job at kind of that having that free choice, like kind of like do it that will, let it, like everybody's free, kind of do what they want because it lets everybody kind of like experience things at a measure with kind of like religion there as a backbone guideline to kind of check you and convict you back in place. So an overall state, it was like a household experience in America. America was like this household that you were raised Christian, but your parents weren't really so uptight and religious about it. They kind of let you make your choices, but they told you what the beliefs were, what was right and wrong, but you still were allowed to do what you wanted. That's how I grew up. We're Catholic, and my parents let me do what I wanted. Yeah, I partied and did some dumb stuff, and yeah, at first I was like tripping on the girl thing, not wanting to look, but then you get suppressed, and what happens? Something happens, maybe you meet someone cool that's like, oh man, check her out, and you're like, oh, but then you want to fit in, so you actually start checking them out, and then the girl, you start actually talking to a girl, they start talking to you, or you get introduced in that crowd, and then boom, you just like pop the lid off your cap and of suppressing yourself, and you bust open like a can of worms, like a can of snakes, right? Salah, like, and you go crazy for it. And next thing you know, you're like trying to be Mr. Trying to be player over here. You know what I'm saying? And that's when the R&B started coming in. That's when it was 7 o'clock on the dot. I'm in my drop top, cruising the streets. Baby, tell me what you want to do. Or mommy, tell me what you want to do. And that's when all that sweet lady, won't you be my sweet loveful R&B was at its height. And so all we did was watch MTV. I put on MTV, I was checking out Aaliyah when she first came out. I'm like, that's my girlfriend right there. And praise Yah, like Yah rest her being, or nabash her soul, her spirit. But I grew up in that culture, and so, but I was still kind of somewhat suppressed in my actual life, my high in reality. But once the lid blew off, and I had the hip hop to kind of like lean back and motivate, like it had already encouraged me, I had already gained a lot. I started just doing what they were doing. So I started sweet talking these girls like a little player and all. It just like naturally kind of happened when I was a kid, and yeah, I did some things, but then I would feel convicted, because like I had grown up again Catholic, my religious side, something would trigger that, maybe it was like doing the festivities every year, grounds you back down to your religion, and you're doing, and yeah, it was pagan. We're doing pagan ritualistic stuff that the Catholics adopted, or that the believers, the Christianity took from the paganism. But it did have its, I can't lie, it did have its place. It did do its thing. It did still put you in a place where you would like reflect on your creator, on the word, on Yahusha and your maker. And so some people just did it that one time of the year, or whatever, the 1 or 2 times a year. And some people would try to, when they have it, would hold on to those moments. It would like, people do New Year's resolutions. Oh, New Year's, I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to start working out. I'm going to stop fornicating. Well, that's what I would do during the festivities, like the Christian stuff, like, Xmas and the Passover, right? Pesach, but the egg day back when I was a Catholic, right? Well, I was actually thinking about it. Like, I was actually in my subconscious, like low key in my inner man was like, man, he died for my sins, and like we're celebrating. I'm over here messing around with these girls on the street, like, and he died for me. He died just so I don't have so I don't have to go to hell. And here I am crapping on his gift. Like I'm not being grateful about it. Like I'm just taking advantage of it. I should be trying to live the life that how he lived and honor. Like that was the Ruach talking to me then, like he is now, and that's what I did. I was like, I didn't tell nobody. I just like would make subtle changes and try, and then I would do okay for a while. Go through these phases where I was just like not trying to talk to any girls or mess with that, and hanging out with the homies. I thought that was great because that was a brothership. Like we hold each other accountable, and that's when the homies came out, or the friends. I won't say homies because now I understand homies. In California is like pretty much a title word for like for bangers. It's like your Hispanic bangers, a homie in a sense. So Texas, we're like, what's up, man? It's a homie. We're just home with friends. Out here, it means something. But so in Texas, I had my friends, and we were growing up right. Like it's like who was like, okay, I see you're trying to do the right thing, so that's what your mind's fixated on your path. So I'm gonna give you those right things and see what you do with that. See how long you can manage that. You're still gonna get tested every now and then, and that's what my friends were. Like he gave me all the most best, awesome friends a kid could have, the pure friends that you could have, like in the movies, like you see, like Rookie of the Year, like the Little Giants and all that. Like you're just cool friends, little rascals, right? The the He-Man Woman Haters Club. Like we didn't hate women, but we were all about us. Like we were all about the boys. And we weren't really. Every now and then we bring up, did you see that chick? That we talk about them, but we weren't like trying to date and all that. We were cool just talking about them, hollering at them, playing around with them, but just chilling with the fellas, the boys. And then once we got older and we were able to initiate those conversations and get a date and get a girlfriend, and what happens, the group starts kind of breaking up sometimes. We try to hold it together with our girls, but conflicts of interest. Me personally, like I said, I make mistakes, but at the same time there wasn't a mistake because something good came out of it. The word says you're Baruch if you have a child, not a child out of that. So I felt like it was a Baraka from Yahuwah, like let me know he was there with that. But nonetheless, through friends, I got those relationships. Through friends, I got opportunities through those friends. And one particularly, I got to put him on blast. And he's awesome like that. I cannot not say that. Like we have our differences because of my beliefs. That's that's really ultimately what separated us from really hanging out. But I love them all, and he knows I love them, and I know they love me too. We all have different differences, but I mean, I'm not saying I love him the most, but I do have really high regards, gratitude for him being in my high because he was a pretty awesome example to me of just what it means to be a little bit more. He was a little bit more mature and refined and composed than all of us. We didn't always see eye to eye and agree on certain things. We all had our issues. We all had our highs and lows mixing in the pot. Sometimes we were every now and then one of us would get raised up. Who would raise one of us up more than the other in certain seasons, and we all I feel like kind of to test how we all go about it, how we all respond to that. For the most part, I mean, I embraced everybody's come up. Like when one of someone in the crew was coming up, being esteemed, and they were given, they're just being esteemed. Like it was lifting them up, and they're just shining. I was more than glad to to give them their due admiration for the shine. Like to see them lifted up, see them confident and all that. There's nothing greater to see your friends feel secure and safe around you, that they feel they can be like lifted up in your presence, like they're being lifted up around you. You kind of feel like you have something to do with it, but it's like at the end of the day, you rejoice in it because like that's my friend, like that's my dude. And so that's how I was with any of my friends that came up. And so nonetheless, different paradigms, realities started separating us. We're going into different paths. I used to think paths were we're just doing different things. But a path now I see is a different reality in a realm altogether. Like it's like a different paradigm shift that they're living, a reality, the way they see things is going a different way, like how they see high and everything with what's the main focus for them. And but anyways, the one I want to really commend and adore and admire and give my props and thanks for being my friend If you're watching this, y'all probably already know what I'm gonna say because I think he was this for a lot of us. And you know what's coming. You know it's you. He's like, "Go on, man, say it." If you're watching. But Roberto Rodriguez. That's a cool name too, right? Sounds like a bass player, bass spheres player. But yeah, Roberto Rodriguez. He was one of my best friends. I had lots of best friends. They were all near and dear to me. I didn't have one higher than the other, but I admired them all differently. But I was more grateful towards this one. I didn't love him more, but I was more had more admiration towards this one, and for the reason that and how Yahuwah used them, because through him I got a major big business like sales opportunity, an entrepreneurship opportunity, going door to door for Verizon. Um, when my dad had gotten sick and heart attack, and we're about to lose the house, kind of a few mortgage payments behind, and disability hadn't kicked in and things like that, and so I was like, man, I just got suspended, expelled from school. Well, I think it was like all at the same time. Like it was already put in motion. Like, cause if I had been going to school, I probably wouldn't have dropped out. I would have kept going to school. But I just got expelled. My sister gave me the word of wisdom from Yah. The Ruach gave her word, and she was like, "Why don't you just like go to work, try to find a job, and try to help save this house?" And like get a job at Burger King, wherever. I'm like, Burger King is not gonna save this house. And we literally had that conversation. I don't know if she remembers that conversation. She literally was like, go to Burger King, whatever. And we literally said these things, and I was like, Burger King is not gonna make an impact on bringing the house back. But I knew Yahuwah was able. My belief in him, my trust in him was so. I was just a kid, and I was like, but I know he can do it. I know there's something out there. I know the one thing you gotta use a little logic and reason. If there was something that could do it, it'd be like a sales job. So I got down on my knees. I gave up weed, give him an offering. I was like, Yahuwah, we're about to lose this house. My dad had a heart attack, so he's, things haven't kicked in. Heal him, may he recover speedily. And I asked that if you can provide for me an opportunity that can make me a millionaire. I just went all out. I went to the highest thing I could think of. I didn't care. I wasn't shooting low. I was like, if you can just please make me a millionaire, even though I'm a kid, I'm 18, whatever. I know there's an opportunity out there. It's America. There's something out there like that for someone my age, and I'm pretty sure it's a sales. I already knew it had to do with sales. I don't know why, I just knew. I'm like, I know there's like sales opportunities, like, sky's the limit. I just understood that. And so if you can provide some kind of sales opportunity, because I had worked commission jobs before, Brookstone, and you would sell these massage chairs, and they would get commissions, and like they would talk about stuff like that, sales jobs. And so I'm like, yeah, selling cars, I don't know. And I put it in the air. I threw it up to Yah, and I said, and I offer you this offering. I'm going to give up smoking weed as an offering so that you'd be more eager to receive my petition and answer it. I'm giving up weed. Boom. That's what made me quit weed. Because to try to get my dad's house back, I quit up weed for that. To Yah, I was showing them that's how much I trusted he was real. Bam, like the next day or two, it was like quick. That's when my Roberto Rodriguez came up, and he's like, say, man, I know you're not in school right now because you got expelled. I don't know if you're trying to, find a job or what, if you're going to come back to school, but I got this friend that works with my dad at his warehouse, because Roberto would work after school with his dad at this warehouse sometimes, like under the table. I don't know what he would do, but he said that sometimes he would mow lawns with his dad. Sometimes he would work at the warehouse with his dad. His dad had different grinds. And so he said, but my dad, anyways, this Asian dude that works there, he's like, he's already out of high school. I think he had just graduated, but he's cool. He's cool. He's young like us. But he says he just started this opportunity with Verizon, this thing called Verizon Files, cable, internet, and phone. And the people there are making like at least $1,000 a week. And this was back in 2007 in Texas. Shalom, bro. How you doing? Doing good, bro. Nice to see you. Thank you. Yeah, so Texas, 2007, making at least $1,000 would be like the equivalent of, I'm in California, like someone making like maybe $2,500 a week out here in Cali. That'd be like in Texas making like, yeah, like 1,500 because things went up in Texas too. Imagine making 1,500 a week, or almost 2,000 now. But that was 1,000, at least 1,000. 2007, man. 2007 was when an apartment was $500 for a 1 bedroom, $700 for a 2 bedroom, big apartment. You got a big old 2 bedroom apartment for $700 to $750 in Texas. Now a 1 bedroom's like 1,000, went up an entire 500, and a 2 bedroom is like 12 to 1,500 in Texas now and more. I don't know. They got the same pretty much living cost of living as they do in Cali. You might as well come to Cali because at least you got the beautiful weather. Look at all this rain. Look at all this rain in beautiful sunny San Diego. You got this beautiful weather year round. You know what's funny? I just had like a deja vu moment where I was remembering that back in the day when I used to get on live, when I first became not a believer like as a Christian, but as a Nazarene, as a true Nazarene, Nazarene of Yahusha, when we first started keeping Sabbath, when I first started blowing the shofar in downtown and started preaching, I was on my A game, solid, like committed to Yah. You know what would happen all the time? Rain. I go to my very first old accounts, my old videos. I'm like, yeah, I'm just blowing the shofar, training out here. I wasn't putting two and two together, but every time I got in a cycle like this phase where I was putting out videos, it was always raining outside. And I don't know if that's rain like to scare. Nah, it is favor, because Scripture talks about if you keep my commandments, do my desires, right, kind of thing. This is His desire. Keep my Sabbaths and all that. I'll give the rain in its season. I'll cause the land to produce its fruit in its season. Man, they got these crabapple things that grow out here, right just along the street, and you can eat it. People say you can't eat them, but I eat them all the time, and they're sweet. Well, when I first found out about them a couple years ago, they were like growing at the wrong time. I knew there was the wrong time because I'm like, it was like I think just after Passover. It was like let me get this accurate. This was this was like January, February. Shoot, wasn't even Passover yet. And there was already these crab apples. I don't know if they're from the last season or they were trying to find out which season to jump in. But these crab apples were being produced in January, February or something. And I remember thinking, these crab apples things are they're not in the right time. Like they're in the wrong season because Scripture, I was just going by what Torah says. It says that the season for the fruit, and now I understand that different fruits bear in different seasons, but I don't know if I spoke Amunah on this thing, but I was like, at the time I didn't know those kind of things. I don't know a lot about agriculture, but I was like, these crab apples are supposed to produce, fruit's supposed to produce in the fall, and this season coming up that we're now in, like now, this is considered the latter rain, by the way. Scripture says, if you keep my commandments, I'll give you the early rain and the latter rain. The latter rain is the rain of the last rains of the season, like the last boom, like hit on the fruit to really grow and get sweet, to really mature right, like abundantly. And it's the last rains. It causes just the fruits to get a little bit more ripe and more sweeter, more abundant. And this is that latter rain, right before Feast of Tabernacles is in the 7th month of the Hebrew calendar, the Abari calendar. That's the month that's coming up now, according to the moon cycle. Right now it's a full moon. We gotta wait for that moon or that month to wane down and start over. Once it's all black and then that first sliver of light comes, that's the 7th month. That's the first day of the 7th month. That's the day of trumpets to announce that the 7th month has began, the month for the harvest of the fruits. But it's also to announce that, hey, this is like the end. The Messiah is coming soon. Be ready. So those are the symbolic of the 7 trumpets of Revelation, because he's bringing warning signs to check us, to judgments beginning with the house as he's coming. And then you got the Day of Atonement, where you're actually atoned and made white. That's the last trumpet. That's the rapture, the 7th trumpet, the last trump. So those are 2 different trumpet events, but they are trumpet events, both of them. The first day and the 10th day. Day of Atonement's on the 10th day. And then you got on the 15th day of that same 7th month, 15th day on the lunar cycle is a full moon. So on the full moon of the 7th month, the 15 days are always a full moon of the 7th month. And then because you gotta have party lights, it's party. The light is full. The fullness of the light of Yah has shined. That's him coming down with the bride. That's a rehearsal. That's called the Feast of Tabernacles. Dwell in tents for 7 days on the full moon that's coming up. Not this one now, but the next moon cycle. You dwell in a tent for 7 days to remember the Israelites. It's a remembrance of the Israelites in the wilderness, but it's also a rehearsal of that he's also coming back, and he's gonna dwell with you, dwell with us, in his tabernacle. And it says in Revelation 21, and I saw the tabernacle of Yahuwah coming down, and Malachim said, behold, the dwelling of the tabernacle of Yahuwah is now amongst men, is now with men. And then so what you do at this time is you gather all the fruit-bearing trees, the fruit-bearing branches of fruit-bearing trees. You grab all the fruits. You grab the branches of fragrant branches of the willows by the stream, and palm branches, all the cool exotic branches and twigs and leaves and flowers and fruits that are coming out. Think of it like what they do at the thankfulness feast. That's when the pumpkins are ready. Why do you think they put pumpkins out around this season? Because that's the time that they're ripe. Because that's the fruit time. That's the time that the grapes are ripe. All that to say that I saw these crabapple things in January, February, and I was like, what? It's not the 7th month. Y'all shouldn't be bearing fruit right now. You got to wait till the season, the 7th month. And I spoke to these crabapples that I got to show you one day when I get like actual internet. And guess what? That was 2 years ago. Last year, I didn't see any come out. I went by there January, February, and it was when I went to jail. It was like when I was trying to go to the Yellow Deli spot when I was trying to run away, get out of PB. I mentioned that in videos like Yahuwah said, if you stay in PB, everything will go well, will go fine. But if you leave, I can't protect you because this is where I put you. Well, I decided to leave anyways because I was feeling bad. I was giving a lot of energy to the world, to the construct, and it was weaponizing and afflicting me in my health, right? My head to toe, head to my feet, in all kinds of ways. Psychological, mental, energy, emotion, neurotic, even in my hormones, and then in my physical body, my flesh. They're afflicting me in all kinds of ways. And I knew it was from being here, and I knew if I just waited out and tried to get right, but I had a stumbling block. I was already too given into, like I said before, it was like when I gave into that emotional attachment to the community, to certain elements of it, and then it's like that was afflicting me because there's an enemy element dynamic from another realm operating through deception that they got me in a stronghold in a sense, and it was what I was doing with it. It's like my intention, the way I was operating with it. So I was getting afflicted. It was actually more other things too. I had yoked with someone with the unclean spirit that I made agreements with and contracts, and then like certain things from that contract. There's a lot. We'll see at the judgment day. But nonetheless, I was like, I'm out of here. So I left, and I went to I passed by where the crab apples were January, February, and the year before there was a bunch. This year they were not there, and I was like, oh shoot. Like, what? They're not bearing fruit? Like, maybe they skip seasons? And I heard about that. Someone told me, oh, yeah, I have an avocado tree. It'll produce 1 year, the next year won't. Produce 1 year, the next year won't. So I just found that out recently. So I was looking back, like, oh, maybe that's what the crabapple did. Maybe it don't produce every January, February. Or I thought it was a reflection. I'm not producing fruit right now. It's on me. Nonetheless, I got caught up. Whoop-de-whoop, this, that. Here we are. I go by there now. It's the 7th month. I just walked up here from the station, so I had to go walk through that way. I had to take a long walk. I took the long walk from the trolley instead of the bus. The bus takes me straight into here, but I wanted to walk all this. And so I had to go by that bushes of crab apples. And man, they were flourishing. They were abundant. They were big. They were ripening. They were ripe. I was eating them. I was like what scriptures say, as long as you're not filling a basket, you can pick it with your hand as you go, whatever you can carry in your hand as you go. So I was plucking one here as I was walking. I wasn't just standing there grabbing them or, collecting them. But I was just picking and grabbing and eating them, and they're sweet. and they're abundant. And it's like, man, these crab apples lined up with the scriptural time of the feast, and they tasted divine. Something about them. Like the very first time I see them there, they were all beat up and eaten by bugs. I can literally feel that Yahuwah told the bugs in the Ruach, like, not to mess with these. You know, like he can do that. He told them not to mess with them because, you know, I'm gonna have a servant, I'm gonna have Raul come by, and I want to share some of these with him. I want to have some of the best of it. I know it sounds a little high and mighty and tooting my own horn, but I just gotta keep it real. That's what I sensed, you know. Like he was like, hey man, I wanted to share, and I was looking. I can just see how they were like intentionally, these bugs, avoiding the best ones. Like the last time I had gone through there, 2 years ago in January, February, there was webs all over them. I found like one or two here and there, like scavenger hunting for one that hasn't been like messed with by bugs, like where it's got holes, like where the bugs, you know, get up in there. This year, they were only allowed to take little corner sections of each bush, but they were allowing like a lot of the main big fat juicy ones, they were leaving them like untouched. And the vibe on it, there was like this force field around it. You could feel, like you could see that it was clean around it. Like Yahuwah's like, y'all can't come in here and mess with these. They're for Raul, for my servant, because that's mine and Yahuwah's thing. Like he talked to me, like that was when I first left the world, when I cut my cards and left society. And he's like, I'm gonna teach you how to live off the land. I'm like, how am I gonna live off the land? There's like no fruit bearing trees that I can just like pick fruit from and eat. And all of a sudden he's like, boom, they were like right there. The crowd, I'm like, what is that? I've never seen that before. So I was like, this realm had it, because I never seen them in my entire high till now. So I can't say they never existed, because I'm in a alternate universe reality apparently now, where these have always existed. So I ask anybody, I'm like, look, you ever seen these before? And some people, like, at first they were kind of leading me into that slowly. They're like, oh yeah, no, I don't think I've ever seen those before. I don't know what those are. What are those? I'm like, yeah. And then slowly it's like, oh yeah, those, man, they've been around for years. They're called crab apples. Yeah. I'm like, nah. And then it's like, but then I had to get used to the fact that, you know, who was like, letting me know, like, yeah, man, you jumped into those crab apples were a portal, so they have some significance. When I decided to leave everything, that's what changed in the alternate universe realities. This crab apple thing appeared and became a thing. But in this reality, everybody, it's been here apparently. Some people still don't know. They haven't heard it, because it leaves it kind of in that natural sense, because it's only logical, because I've never heard of them. I've never seen them. They weren't there. You know, I walk around these bushes, like, for example, they're at Balboa Park now. You know, I go Balboa Park, they're everywhere around there too. Before, I used to always go Balboa Park. I never noticed them. I love noticing nature. I would have noticed some red-looking fruit things hanging on trees. I would have tried them back then. I didn't notice them then. They didn't exist then. Those bushes were there. They just bear fruit now. You know, like, he causes these new realities. When you get to a new level, he makes trees that never bore fruit bear fruit all of a sudden. It's like the Mandela effect. You know, they say, oh, the history, you know, they said the Mandela, you know, died, but it turns out he's still alive. No, that's a collision of two trans realm realities that mix, and that was the glitch in this realm, where it creates that confusion, where in one realm, Mandela probably did die, was put in jail and died in prison, but then in this reality, he didn't, but then we still got you know, stuff spilling from that other alternate universe reality, because it helped shape ours. We needed something from that version, so it collided, and there you have the Mandela effect. That's how the Mandela effect happens. That's why it's like, what? That never happened. Like, I thought he died. Like, I remember the history. Like, that's what we learned. Like, and it trips everybody out. Like, what is that? And there's different explanations there. No, I'm telling you what it is. There's alternate universe realities, and sometimes we need to collide the two to get things from each other. And there's always that anomaly in the middle that kind of bridges the gap, that where it's different. In a sense, like the two closest realities they can get possible, but still have the extraction that we need from the other reality that we didn't have in this one. And they come together, but you're still going to have some. As close as we can get it to be the exact same reality, but some's got to be different. And what's different was Mandela died in the other reality, but he didn't die in this one. Those two universes collided, And so we had this confusion, like, what the heck? And for my reality, I came from one where it didn't have crab apples. All of a sudden, you got these little crab apples. I was calling them mouth fruit. That's what Yah inspired me to call them, mouth fruit. Mouth is a Hebrew word for king, a sovereign. Because he said, when I left everything behind, I became like Dawood, sovereign Dawood, King David, and went into the wilderness, like running from Saul, running from the system that's trying to oppress you and kill you. And when I did that, he made provisions for me in the wilderness and started making fruit. Because I said, I can't live off without the system, because I would have to live off the land. Every tree, they purposely don't put trees. They purposely put trees that don't bear fruit so people can live off of them free. But he's like, you're talking to me, the creator universe, Yahuwah. I can cause trees that don't bear fruit to all of a sudden bear fruit. And he's like, watch, you're going to see it. I walked the PB because that's what he told me to come. And then bam, crab apples. I'm like, what are those? He's like, didn't I tell you I provide fruit? Fruit from trees, things that never bore fruit, I make them bear fruit. I can make all these trees. He says, all these trees, if you wanted to, they can start bearing new fruit that never existed before. Purple fruit, yellow, green fruit, any kind. He can do whatever he wants. But he chose everything to the measure I wanted, let us lay out, and the system chose not to put trees that bear fruit because they don't want us living for free off of it. But Yahuwah interjected. He said, you left everything for me, I got your back, and I'm going to do something for you. I'm going to cause these bushes to bear fruit. They're going to be called crabapple. Now they exist in a reality that as if they always existed. You're going to collide with that universe. You're going to seem a little crazy, but other people, it's like the Mandela effect. They're going to understand. It's going to be mixed with people who never had experienced them, but you're going to have people from the other universe, and their reality, their conscious, they have. It's a little bit tricky, but you get what I'm saying. But it's there. It's how it operates. So, nonetheless, crab apples. Should have called it that. I called it milk fruit because milk means sovereign fruit, because he said, you're like sovereign Dawood coming out to wilderness, and this is what I changed different in this alternate universe reality. I'm providing you this fruit because you're like a sovereign to me. And I called it milk fruit because when you eat of it, it oozes out milk. Like, it's like this milk comes out, but it's like milk and honey. It's like fruit, like the sweetness of this fruit is like you're eating. I gotta show you. I'm gonna go, but my Wi-Fi will cut off. I'm gonna do it though. I'm gonna bring one to you, and I'm gonna go live on it. I'll show you, because y'all probably don't even know what I'm talking about, because you understand it probably never existed in your reality, because you would have heard about this. This would have been common to everybody if it really existed. You can eat the stuff. So how come people aren't just eating it and everybody knows about it and grew up eating it, like honeysuckles or something? Because it didn't exist at some point in the collision of the alternate realities that we're part of now. The universe I came from kind of brought it in. Yahuwah brought it in with that, and everybody's got little things like that too. But this is just mine because of the paradigm of the biblical reality. So nonetheless, the scriptural paradigm. So this thing exists now, and milk comes out of it. Kid you not, you open it, milk comes out, like white milk. But it's kind of like sticky, and someone said, oh, it's like latex. It's some kind of like natural latex, so it might be hard to digest. I didn't have no problems with it. So I eat it. It's got milk. It's sticky. Probably has some kind of effect similar to that. Gives you something similar, like things that what the food looks like gives you those kind of benefits. But it's like you're eating. It's also the fruit itself is like. Man, I can't describe it. It's nothing like it. It's almost like eating a fig. Like, it's red and juicy inside. It's like a tomato almost, but a really, really sweet, juicy tomato that tastes like a fruit that's got like little seeds inside and everything, and it tastes like honey. So milk and honey come out of it is what I'm trying to get at, which is symbolic, a shadow picture of the promised land, Sion, like milk and honey. So when I left everything behind, I jumped into a realm. I walked into the realm of the promised land, Sion, because there's milk and honey, milk fruit. So originally I called it milk fruit because it's milk and honey. But then he's like, but you're a milk, so you can call it milk fruit and make it like a play on words. Like it's milk fruit and milk fruit, like either or, right? Milk fruit, milk fruit. That's where I'm at with that anyways. I don't mean to go on a tangent, but that was did have a lot of importance in all this because of the alternate universe reality switch. So the first time I'd experienced that was when I first left everything behind. This is the second time I'm experiencing it. It was just today. Boom, and I ate it. I ate a handful of them as I was going, grabbing one. They're all sweet. They're all big. The bugs didn't get on them like last time, and these were unblemished ones. They were some of the best of the best. I feel like I could have offered it to you. I should have somehow, but I didn't grow. I don't know. I should have offered it to you, but I'm offering the offering of the lob for it for sure. I feel like that's mocking me a little bit, but nonetheless, I'm thankful for it. And so the first time was when I left everything behind. This time, I'm transitioning back into like coming back into the. Even though I'm still plugged into the system, I feel like I was able to like still walk in Sion while I'm plugged in the system, like in another trans realm reality hybrid thing, based on your intentions, your beliefs, where your lob is, how you're operating. I don't really care about the things of this world, but I know I got to operate in it, because before I was getting really back into the world, but now I got all the stuff. But I feel like I just reached this new level with Yahusha, walking with him on a different level, suffering a lot of things. You know, I got back into a home and it was attacking me, and I was getting tested with all kinds of things. I was feeling drained, but I still kept myself upright as much as I could. I made some mistakes. We always make mistakes, but it's how we respond. He weighs out the law of the math. I was truly convicted, and truly the way I felt about it moved him, and he saw what I felt, and I just wanted to have that fresh start again, like feeling that perfect, you know, unblemished linen, bright white linen with no blemish on it. And bam, it was today. Then I walked over here, something led me, checked things out, things were happening. Ran into the crab apples again, they're sweet. And he said, you're back in Sion, you know, like we're doing a restart for you. So I want you to feel it, because that's how much I love you. It's a tender kindness to you. I want you to feel the experience like, hey, we're starting over. The rain is a witness too, because it's like rain is a rejoicing thing. My favorite weather. If anybody knows me, y'all know this is really my favorite weather. So it's a gift and a treat that it rained. I'm full with the word to speak, and it rained more the more I spoke. And then the other thing is the rain also, what the scripture says, part of the renewed covenant being brought back to him. It says, I shall sprinkle clean water on you, and you shall be clean. From all your filthiness and from all your idols I cleanse you. And I shall give you a new love and put my ruach within you. I shall take the heart of stone out of your flesh and give you my heart of flesh, and put my ruach hakodash within you, to cause you to walk in my laws and guard my right rulings, and you shall do them. And I feel that's what he was proclaiming. That's what he was initiating right now with the rain. He was sprinkling clean water on me to renew the covenant. Even when I went to that assembly, the congregation, the place where I normally go, they just hosed it down. Remember I was talking about the crap everywhere? I was talking about, oh man, there's crap everywhere. Let me see if I can go there and not lose Wi-Fi. If I lose it, I took a bullet. You trust me. You're going to have to just trust me. I was going to start recording from there and start my message there by saying, man, remember just yesterday I was talking about there's crap everywhere, you know, where I was staying at in the tent. And then I came to the actual institution, and then like someone had just crapped all over the place and flung it on the wall, put it everywhere, and I felt like, oh, like I gotta just get out of the city. Well, all of a sudden, the day I came back today, they had cleaned it up, but like they weren't fully able to sanitize it. But today, since the time I left, and it's been 2 weeks, I came back the day that they're sanitizing the actual courtyard where the poop was flung everywhere. They had just sprayed it down with some sanitizer spray, like hose, like a strong sanitization hose. And when I got there, the floor was all wet. It looked all soapy. It looked like this, like you're seeing in the street. This is like a parable, right? See, look. Yeah. So that. Oh, yeah. I was losing connection. Yeah, I can't leave the spot. So, yeah, that's a nice way to test this. It's like trying to lose connection. So that's what it looked like right across the street. That's actually the spot I was talking about, you know, in the courtyard of it. It's all soapy. I feel like Yahuwah should put even that there just as a witness to like, yeah, this is what it looked like over there without having to leave and lose connection. So praise God for that. He's awesome like that. He's got my back on the little things to make my points. And this is me talking, and it's all but in line with the Ruach, giving witness, making his deeds known, like how he's been working in my kind, how things are. And this is like a movie for you. Like the reason I do this, I can understand what he's doing. It makes me like this, just constant walk, like a constant talking thing. Like you would have the TV on, and it would have all the fake news and narrative stuff that's projecting on the subconscious level poison in your mind. It's not just from the surface level what you're hearing about the fake news, but even at the subconscious level, it's weaponized with bad negative energy, with spiritual stuff in the 5G to harden you and put certain firm beliefs and thoughts and stuff in you to how to view high the world through those narratives. But it's like coded with darker energy, like imprints on you and molds you and clones you and brainwashes you. Like not brainwashed like, oh, like you believe what they say. I mean, like it literally it hypnotized like a robot. Like it programmed you. Like you're like, I am of the world of believers now. Like you can't control it. You can think control. You think you're making your own choice, and you think, I don't know, I just chose because I don't like the way. But it's really an agreement. It's like a spiritual. They get us in agreements. The little things they cause and get us to rationalize and see things their way. On a subconscious level, it's a council of demons and spirits, and they rationalize and see how, notice how, see that's why. And they were like, yeah, exactly, that's why. We think it's us, but it's like a symbiotic relationship. And once we make those agreements with those spirits, then they start taking over our thoughts more aggressively and molding us, and then so they will fuel our aggression to this. But then they, it's a double-edged sword, because like Satan told Yahusha, you bow down to me, I'll give you all the reins of the earth. Same thing on the individual subconscious level. You bow down to me and do my desire, be in agreement with me, and believe like I believe, and compromise the word and do some of my bidding, and I'll give you your best life now. I'll make sure you get the promotion. I'll take care of you financially. Things are just going to work out, line up. I'm going to give you the wits, the intellect, the favor, and all that you need. That's what Satan does for the people. And so to some extent, that's why it's hard to know who to really trust, because like even people in the belief, right, that are prospering, like Christianity, I find are a little bit more compromised and hypocritical and all that. Something in them, I can feel the unclean spirit, but yet they're rich and they're this and that, and they really don't have the relationship they think they have. They're more doing it for the BSing, their BS, from Satan, but they've already made certain agreements to feel like, well, JC, their counterfeit spirit, their deity, their God, their idol, fortune, prosperity, is only in it. Like one of the things he wants to do is just prosper them. So they're kind of like the Pharisees. Like they're not really actually reading their Bible, the Scripture, because Scripture taught, Yahusha told the Pharisees the parable. He's like, you guys are all prospering in robes and this and that, but there's a parable: rich people, the flowing robe, and then you got Eliazar, or is Lazarus, right? Eliazar, I believe, and Alazar, Lazarus, and he was poor and this and that, and so he was calling him out that the Pharisees were judging righteousness by the standard, the measuring tool that they use to measure righteousness, to identify it, to define righteousness was according to your prosperity. If you were prospering, if you were truly from Yah really, loved you and he supported you and he's on your side, then you'd be prospering, because because the Pharisees were all prospering, but they didn't know they were bound down to Satan some way, for greed, for this, altering the law, for more greedy gain. Oh, you don't have to honor your father and mother and take care of them. You can just give it to the house, and Yahuwah will look at it like you took care of them, because the house is more important. He'll take care of your mom and dad. You don't have to do that. That's what they're saying. So that's twisting the law to deny, honoring father and mother for their tradition. So that's a demonic thing they're doing. That's the spirit of greed, spirit of, prosperity doctrine, spirit of fortune, prosperity, God. And that's the same kind of thing in different ways that Christianity, are taken by the enemy in agreement and rationalize things and submit to it and kind of like rest with it, like kind of make their peace with that and just choose to accept that, and becomes a stronghold. That becomes their paradigm, a firm belief. They mold and fuse and become one with it, and so they can't really shake it off because they chose that. So it becomes one, becomes who they are, the cast. But it's a spirit. strongman, tied up. They're tied up, and so they have to really want it. They have to really ask themselves, like, I want to know that I know that I know that I'm right. I want to, and they have to tell themselves things like, show me whatever it is, wherever I'm wrong, like correct me in the truth. I don't care how big it is, how much it's gonna hurt. I'm willing to make the change. As long as you show me, I promise I'll make the change. I ain't gonna try to throw a fit. Show me where I'm wrong, and I'll do it. Convict me, because I know I can be still wrong more than one or two ways. They don't do those questions. You ask XTNs, they're not doing that. All these, get rich, die trying, or get rich because, they lying, or they got the spirit of prosperity, of the spirit of fortune, prosperity, God on their back, backing them up, and they're not talking that way. They're saying things like, oh, well, you just, if they say things like, they talk different. They say like, well, God died for our sins, so we don't have to keep the law, and he just, I say GBSU, I go to the service because he BS's me, and it's more superficial. It's so superficial. I can't even talk like it. I can't even get into their mind. It's more like they just feel like, oh yeah, man, you just gotta stay positive and you'll BS you. That's like stuff they say, like, oh man, just stay positive, man. JC will BS you, just stay positive. Like, it's like, no, it ain't just stay positive. That's positive is like loving the world. Like, what you gotta do in order to stay positive? You gotta like have some movie nights, eat some popcorn, indulge in the world a little bit, and talk about some funny things that may be inappropriate, to stay laugh at dirty, dumb things. That'll keep you positive, But those are things that are not in line with It's not honoring, It's not well pleasing in His sight. But they tell you be positive, laugh, joke. They feel like you gotta let's go, out to eat, party, drink. We just gonna go do some outings, and they get superficial to get positive, and that's their offering to Yahuwah to show like they're being positive and waiting on the reward, and to get more things to be more superficial, more BS, because they're just channeling the energy of superficiality and vanity and materialistic lust, pride and all of that, fantasies and vanities and imaginations. That's all it is, and like dreaming big, and it's all about them, me, big dreams, dream big, me, selfish. I used to have a song. Here's another song that I made, like just being out here, on the streets. And this one I didn't make in jail. This one I made, I think, at Black's Beach. I was walking around naked, and I don't know why I felt moved to do it then. Well, I think I did it out here, but I did it. I remember doing it at Black's Beach. But I was like, I said, this is the way He will move me. He gives me songs, and I start to improvise, like improv, like roll with it. I'm getting intrusive thoughts right now. They don't want me singing this, and but yeah, that's how it goes. I'm just gonna get to it. I'm trying to say something, they won't let me say it. They're like trying to distract, confuse me. But it goes, capitalist system, all about me. Capitalist system, all about greed. Stepping on heads are the steps to succeed. Capitalist system's all about me. I'm trying to remember the words. It's like, I don't got no funds for you to eat. Just bought this new chain, it done cost 5 G's. Stepping on heads are the steps to succeed. Capitalist system, it's all about me. Capitalist system, it's all about greed. I don't got no food for you to eat. I done bought this new chain, it done cost 5 G's. I didn't like my body, so I got boobies. I didn't like my bum, so I got I got booties, something like that. Capitalist system's all about me. Capitalist system's all about greed. I don't got no funds for you to eat, cause I done bought this new chain, it done cost 5 G's. Capitalist system's all about me. Stepping on heads are the steps to succeed. Those are some of the lines, and it flowed a little different. That's kind of how it goes, but it was hitting hard though. People at Black's Beach were singing it. Like, no, literally, I'm not even being like making a joke. People at Black's Beach were singing it. Like, literally, when I was singing it, I had that moment too where, like, this naked couple, they weren't even a couple, they were friends, but they were like talking about work. that's that's San Diego for you. They're like talking about office work, and they actually help. They all right. Let me tell you like what Black Beach characters are like. They're some of the most genuine, like how do you say, loving, down to earth people. Like so what this guy does, he works in changing lives, like where they work with kids that were in foster care that were abused, and they put them in this like course in this class, and they rehabilitate them, giving them opportunities, and putting like they do all kinds of stuff, and like social workers kind of work, and so he's like what do you call it, like a case manager or something, and the chick too, and they're friends, and they're there chilling talking about this stuff naked, because they're sitting next to me or behind me, but I was singing the song as I was singing, going around, and then I sat down, and then the girl, the girl, I think she said, "Stepping on heads are the steps to succeed. Capitalist systems all about me," and yeah, she said one of those lines. Capitalist systems all about greed. Woo! She's like, keep singing. I'm loving it. She's like, that's the truth. And I just was laughing. I just started singing, and then we all hung out. We talked for a little bit. And we talked about the word and all that. So even there, like Yahuwah uses me, But I get to that level, not down, but I get to that level. You got to get naked and all that, because you don't want to be the odd man out. There used to be people back in the days. They used to go to strip clubs and preach to strippers. People don't do that no more because they can't trust themselves. They don't want to feel like lukewarm, like they got a hidden reservation, and because they might be like, man, I don't want to do it if I'm gonna have a hidden. I feel like I'm a little bit more prepped up to do that now, without feeling that way. But I gotta be careful. I don't want to have a hidden reservation. That's a great place to be. That's called working out your salvation with fear and trembling. Back then, I think a lot of us maybe were BSing, just finding a reason. Pastors, preachers, even evangelists, going to strip clubs or talking to prostitutes, or strip clubs at least, just to, get a little guilty pleasure out of it while preaching in the name of preaching the word. Miss Parker, you know what I'm saying? And so things like that. But we're getting more genuine. But when I go to Black's Beach, it's genuine. That's my one of my places of escape. My secret places, my literal secret places. Like, you got the secret place in here, Ruach. Then sometimes you gotta have those places where you go. It might be somewhere like on a park, somewhere you park in that parking lot. I know people that like to see the airplanes. They go where they can catch the planes landing, watch the planes, or watch the sun go down. They like going to what they call sundown cliffs where the sun goes down. And so, boom, they blew a shofar because I didn't say the SET word because they tested me on my integrity. I ain't about to do that. I ain't going to compromise you. I'm trying to be mindful of those words. So they went to sundown cliffs, and so, yeah, and then that's, we all have our therapy place. I like going to Black's Beach because I feel like the weight and stress of the flesh and of the thoughts and inclinations, I almost feel it like the weight of clothes. It's like I feel it like something about like getting naked and taking my clothes off is like taking the weight of the world off of my shoulders, like all the insecurities, because there's nothing wrong about being naked, because Adam and Eve, it's in the Bible, were naked in the garden and they were not ashamed. So it would be hypocritical if it's like sin to be naked. Like, no, the problem it wasn't with being naked. The problem was with what man does with our perception of nudity, like how we view it, like how we tend to pervert it. And so there's nothing wrong with it. It's man's perversion of it. Being naked, we're born naked, we go naked. Naked is, if being naked was wrong, we'd be born with a shell of, we'd be born with clothes. We'd be born with like a little layer of fabric on us or something, like some linen. We'd be coming out of the womb with like a little sheet of like tissue we're already dressed up or something. Like, what the heck? No, we're born naked and it's all right. You remember Isaiah when he nabu'd 3 years naked, but naked. So, because to show I think the Egyptians of Masraim were about to get taken over, be enslaved and chained up naked and all that, Africa, but Isaiah walked around naked for 3 years. There's no issue. Isaiah walked around naked for 3 years. King Shaul, when he went to not to go speak to Sovereign Dawood, he got filled with the Ruach, and it says he took his clothes off and got naked and Nabu. So he took his clothes off and started Nabu and prophesying and was naked. And they didn't say, is Shaul out of his mind? No, they said, is Shaul among the Nabim, among the prophets? Because they knew the way he was operating was in line with the way prophets, Nabim, operate. You know, sometimes they get naked. YashaYAHu, because they're just taking it all off and like just wanted to take the weight off, and it's like be raw and straight and clean and transparent with the word of Yah and say it straight and direct, even to the point of being naked, because I'm tired of this, you know. And and yeah, sometimes it is what it is, because they ain't tripping on it. They're tripping on the way man's perversion is. They hate insecurity. Insecurity is a demon. I hate that. I struggle with insecurity, but that's a spirit too. It's saying I don't trust the way Yah made me. I think he made a mistake. You know, he made flaws. Like, he didn't make me. We're not made perfectly in his image. You know, there's something wrong with our makeup. You know, he made us wrong. I'm ashamed the way it made me. You know, nah, that's insecurity. It's a sin. Like, the insecurity should be the shame of nakedness is more like a reflection of guilt, but it's a shame. It's the shame of guilt that you feel when you're ashamed of being naked, but because it's gonna also get perverted. You're covering up because the different dynamics about people look at it. They're looking at it from a superficial level, like they're judging all the details, all the every kind of, and you just don't want people looking at but really it's like, what, that stuff don't matter. It's stupid. Like, animals are naked. You don't see animals naked and wonder about their parts and look at like, oh shoot, look, they're naked. Like, look, no, it's just a dog. You look at how awesome they are. The dog, the face, they're awesome. They're cute. They're. That's how we should be looking at each other when we're naked. Like we're naked, like dogs, like animals. Like, you just taking in the energy and the face and the expression and the substance. Nudity's nothing. But nonetheless, you still gotta be clothed like if you're operating at that time. I don't say have a nudist congregation. You can't do that because there's still some guidelines there. Yahuwah said when you perform duties to Yahuwah, the offering, put on linen trousers, lest your nakedness be exposed. Only because that would take away from the esteem of the service being done to Yahuwah, the ministering. It would like, oh, what the, just kind of throw it off if you see all that, and it's just gonna, man, I can't handle it. And so it's just like being honorable. There's a time and place for everything. Like, you can be naked, but if you're serving Yahuwah as a minister, then you got to have some linen trousers on. You got to be clothed up. You know what I'm saying? So when you go up, it says don't make a slaughter table, with steps and put it up somewhere high, unless your nakedness be exposed under your skirt. And if you do something like that, put on trousers, but still yet make the slaughter table like out of stones on the ground or low or something. So do both. Anyways, enough about that. That's not the message about. Just generalizing things that are in the word, because it's just gonna tie everything into. It's interesting, kind of like taboo, like one of those, like the topics are no, not inappropriate. They're more. The word is like diverse. They're uh, they're controversial. They're controversial topics, but nonetheless, we're man, and guess what we do? We like to hear. We kind of like take interest in things that are not the norm. And, we don't expect people to talk about this, in the congregation. But yet these things are in scripture, and so there's a place to talk about it. And these are things people talk about maybe in their own home, between couples, between friends at lunch or something. But I think it's pretty appropriate to talk about on Facebook, because you get the masses, and it's not necessarily like we're congregating together right now. It's just what's on your mind. It's Facebook, just place we're talking. we're hanging out. So, or I'm just talking to you like we're hanging out. Shalom. How you doing? All right. So yeah, sky's clearing up. Stopped raining a little bit. So we're gonna switch topic. Not to say that it's wrong, but there's a place, time and place. There's a measure of everything, and that's never meant to be like a predominant topic. Like that's not meant to be prominent, predominant, paramount. Very like it's not supposed to be the center of topics of doctrine. It's just little side things, little side issues, little side understandings is what I call it, like little side beliefs, side. Anyways, I can feel it. Yahuwah, where are we going? Where you want to go? It's all Yahuwah. All right, cool. Yeah, he's supposed to be quick. He said, read the scripture. You posted, never read it. He's so awesome like that. YashaYAHu, Isaiah chapter 32. So all this to say that it's funny, it wasn't raining, but I came in here, it's a little gloomy. It got gloomier and started raining as I went. And that goes right into the context of what we're seeing at YashaYAHu, Isaiah 32. It says, see, a sovereign shall reign in righteousness and rulers in right ruling. The idea is with him that the sovereign shall reign in righteousness, and that's Yahusha, and rulers in right ruling. Who are those rulers? Rulers that he appoints, And each one of those rulers that he appoints that rule with him in right ruling shall be as a hiding place from the wind and a shelter from the downpour, as rivers of Ma'im, of waters in a dry place. They shall be as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. And the eyes of those who see are not dim, and the ears of those who hear listen. In other words, those who see are going to understand what they're seeing, and what they hear and listen, they're going to fully understand what's being said. They get it. And that's what's happening now. Sovereign shall reign in righteousness. That's Yahusha. We are being placed in those positions now. He's appointing his servants as rulers in the Ruach, through the word, through our thought processes, their thought processes, those who he elects, peace, love, and joy, to loosen it in the arets, according to the word, being an influence in that paradigm that is true and eternal, not to the superficial, materialistic, temporal ways of the world. Gets people out of their funk. They know when they hear it, they're hearing eternal, everlasting truth. It sounds like peace to the ears. It's a sound mind. It makes you want to rest. It brings rest to the soul, to the nafash. The flesh don't want to hear it, but their souls, the nafashim, are glad they did. They can feel it, even though they don't understand it all. Heart to heart, loud to loud, communicates its essence, that it's divine, it's pure at its foundation, at its core, and that's what people are trusting, what they gravitate towards. So praise Yah, and they know it's love, and they know it's Yahuwah, and they know it's work. They know this was built. They know it's blood, sweat, and tears, and this is what the final product is, the fruit of it. These words with this lab, and all of it. And these are his servants. These are his rulers that rule in right ruling. And we shall be as a hiding place from the wind. Wind always symbolizes don't be tossed to and fro by every wind of doctrine. So wind is like delusions, lies, false narratives, paradigms, your intrusive thoughts, emotions, getting stuck with all the, you're just kind of in a funk, in your mind, and it's going to weird places, and you're kind of distracted, and you're losing focus about what it's really all about, and you're focusing on the lesser, carnal, worldly, fleshly, temporal things that don't really matter that much, and Yahusha came to give us rest, and you can rest. Well, that's calming the storm. That's calming the wind. The wind is all those other thoughts, those other things that don't really matter, that, we want something to, take up our time so we feel productive. So we do these dumb things, shenanigans, create our own, little soap opera, our own little show, our own little movie. Even me, this is mine here. I'm doing that. The difference is I'm doing mine according to an eternal foundation through the scriptural paradigm narrative versus one that's more super, versus doing one that's superficial and materialistic and vain, and temporal. Like it's not gonna last forever. It's not eternity. You're not saying or doing or operating. Those things don't line up with eternity. It's just for the here and now. And so you don't. You gotta do things for the here and now, regardless. You gotta do what you gotta do, but always try to push to do the things, focus more and read and operate and act in a way that's in line with the eternal substance. And as these words, that's this word, this is what I'm sharing, the scriptures, Yahushua's coming back, being righteous, everything we have talked about, um, again, the spiritual warfare stuff from earlier. And so that is, each one shall be as a hiding place. Each one of his rules shall be a hiding place from the wind, from all the shenanigans, the wind, the being tossed to and fro from every wind of doctrine, from every spirit, every spirit that lies in your ear, tries to pull you and distract you into some worldly situation, worldly construct that's, seems real at the time, but really has no purpose in it, no meaning other than it's just pleasurable in a vain way. It's like it's just it's vain. It's just like something to take up your time to feel entertaining, but it has no true purpose. But it was just entertaining for the time, and you want to not do those things so much. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's about Yah. So that is the fulfillment of the hiding place from the wind. This is the hiding place. These words are the hiding place from the winds, those other winds. Right now, you're in a shelter from the downpour. The downpour is like the destruction, right? But before destruction, like what happens when there's destruction? Who's being destroyed and why? The downpour of destruction is happening on those who didn't keep the commandments, those who didn't walk in line with the inclination of the Ruach, with the mind of Yah, with meditating on His Word and trusting in Him, being still, know He's got everything under control, trusting He's Yah, resting in Him, having a secure expectation of eternity through Him, living His ways, and having that eternal peace, love, and joy just by knowing He exists and who He is, and knowing we got that by trusting Him. When you really trust that, brings eternal peace, love, and joy that you don't have to do nothing, just rest. And trusting in that and the Word and keeping His commandments is a shelter from the downpour. So this is the shelter also from the downpour. It's hearing this Word and then being moved to keep the commandments. You're in a shelter from the downpour of the destruction that shall fall upon those who did not trust in the Word and kept the commandments, didn't rest in Him, have a secure expectation, meditate on His Word, and have peace, love, and joy according to the Word. But this is it. So this is the hiding place from the wind. This is the shelter from the downpour. And this is the rivers of Ma'im in a dry place. Rivers symbolize, like the rivers of Chai, the Ruach, right? The divine eternal breath, what they call what they call it, HOLYSPIRIT. But it's not that, it's the Ruach, the Kadash Ruach, the Ruach HaKodash, or the Kadash Ruach. His divine eternal empowering breath shall be like rivers of living water, living Ma'im, coming out of you, the Word, right? The energy, the His Chai in the form of words and His presence and His strength through the truth, through the Word of truth. That is this also. This is the rivers of Ma'im in a dry place. The dry place is a place that's spiritually dead, because of its vanity, superficiality. It all burns out and dries out. It becomes a dry place when there's no real eternal substance with it. If it's just vanity, superficiality, materialistic things, those are dry places. When and you don't have that true purpose of like walking with Yah in you, that's a dry place. You're dried out. Because Yahusha gives you the moisture, brings you the rain in its season, causes the rivers to gush, the water to flow, so you can drink and drink and you shall not pay. You shall drink and not pay. It's the ruach, drinking from his word, from Him, from that relationship. It quenches your thirst. Is that right? And it satisfies the being. His word is the interaction, the relationship with Him is like rivers of Ma'im, of eternal rivers, eternal rivers of Ma'im flowing through the mouth, the words of Yah brings brings a refreshing to the being through your law, through the interaction, through receiving the word. So this is the Ma'im, the rivers of Ma'im in a dry place, is the word of Yah that refreshes the nafash from all the dry stuff of the world that's passing away. As the shadow of a great rock in a weary land, or in a hot land, like a weary is like a dry, like a hot, weary land. That's how I like to expound it. But as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. So what does a shadow of a rock do? A great rock, it's like it brings shade from the heat of the sun. So it's like to always be in a place that's taken care of. Yahuwah provides shade, the shadow or the shade of a great rock in a like a desert, like a hot, weary land. That's what it's saying. And then that brings up what I'm getting the point, the gloom. I feel like whenever I started speaking the word, I've been doing, getting on my A game, getting on, speaking the word, it started manifesting all this. It started manifesting, it's starting to rain again. It started sprinkling again right now, I promise you. It started manifesting a hiding place from the wind, from the falsehood, because I'm bringing that hiding place through the word. The word is the hiding place. A shelter from the downpour. I'm bringing the shelter from the destruction by showing you the way to stay in line with the word, just by you listening to it. Just you couldn't do the church, the Christianity. Those were all the basics to build up to learn to do the math of this stuff. But this is the stuff you need. So eat this, enjoy this, and just take it in, and it'll start transforming your mind, renewing. You just gotta talk about things differently, have a new conversation. You hang out with certain people, certain crowds, it starts shifting how you think and talk and act, how you see Kai. Well, I'm talking to you in the perception according to eternal matters, eternal things from an eternal perspective. So you hear me long enough, your mind's going to start calibrating to process and think things the way I do, the way the word does, the way the word has taught me to process and see reality. You'll start to process and see it that way, and that'll bring that's Yahusha doing that work in you, and so you're becoming one mind with Him, and that is the hiding place from the wind and the shelter from the downpour of the destruction, because you're starting to go in line with the word. You're starting to have Yahusha calibrate with you, and he's starting to get the rivers of Ma'im in a dry place. He fills you with eternal peace, love, and joy. That's rivers. It's refreshing in the Ruach. Eternal peace, love, and joy according to the word. It's free. You don't need to buy it. You don't need to go nowhere. It's just in you all the time, because rivers are just constantly flowing. And that is and literally what is manifesting, and manifests the last cherry on top is this shadow of a great rock in a weary land, or the shade. It shall be as a shade, a divine protective, gloomy shade, divine protective covering of the shade of a shadow of a rock. It's like the shade of a great giant mountain in a hot place. You don't see the sun like it's hot and weird right now, because we're in the shade. We're in a protected place. So this is literally what the creation is symbolizing. Me speaking the word is literally creating like the shadow or the shade of a great rock in a hot sunny land. It's not hot sunny because we're in the shadow of the great rock. We're in the shade. We're protected by the shade from the sun, from the hot sun, by constantly sharing the word. And then what is that? Ultimately, the fruit in the end, the end game product. What does that result in on your end? And the eyes of those who see are not dim. You see what I'm talking about? And they're not dim. You're seeing what you're seeing. You're getting it. And the ears of those who hear, listen. In other words, you're taking it in, you're processing it, and it's downloading, and you're becoming a part of eternity now with the word of Yah. And this was the last day things when Yahusha said, greater works than these you shall do. These are those greater works. Praise Yah. Hallelujah. Yahusha. Conveying and sharing the fruit of our labors. What we, Yahusha, Yahusha, and Ruach HaKodesh helped us sow and till and maintain and prune and work and all that. And then finally harvest. This is the harvest. As we enter into the harvest, this is the fruit of the Ruach. The fruit of the Ruach is not just love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, trustworthiness, and self-control. Those are great, emotional, characteristic, behavioral attitudes to have, but you can be in the world and still have those behavioral patterns. You can have someone who's like an LGBT, or in witchcraft, and they can have love, joy, peace, patience, kindness. They can still exhibit those attributes and not be a believer in the word. So I think Paul was a little like he meant well, but there was still a little bit more, and that's from the fruit of the ruach. Though fruit of the ruach is uh, 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 truth and understanding according to the right ruling in the word of Yah, His law. Is the fruit of the ruach is obedience to Torah, being able to teach and convey and share the mysteries of Torah. That's part of the fruit of the ruach. Like when he started saying like the fivefold ministry, like nabuing, speaking, teaching, reaching, and all that, preaching and prophesying, nabuing, speaking in parables, being able to convey in different ways and really go in depth. Those are fruits of the ruach. That's the evidence, the witness of Yahusha in you in the ruach hakodesh. And this is mentioned in the book of YashaYAHu. The fivefold ministry is more they're all hand in hand. You gotta have the right attitude and nature, but all the truth goes with it too. So he just wasn't going all the way to the depths of it. I guess you could say he was being kindergarten with him. But the problem with that is the world can have the fruit of the ruach, and we think that Christianity can put a spin on that and say, oh, these we get to and we don't want to go that way either. We want to have the same fruit of the ruach, but we want to agree to disagree and say that you got to have the righteousness of Torah as part of the fruit of the ruach. There's in the book of YashaYAHu. Book of YashaYAHu straight up says, and these are the fruit of the ruach. And he gives different fruit of the ruach. He gives some of the same ones. He's like, meekness, gentleness, and patience, and long suffering, and all that. But then and trustworthiness, like trusting, long suffering and trust. But then he talks about and wisdom, like chakma, according to the word, and sharing and teaching, and you just gotta go. I posted before, but read that book of YashaYAHu. It's in that blue scriptures, the Yah scriptures, kind of getting big now. That's the one you want. And so that's part of the fruit of the Ruach. And that's this. Everything I'm sharing, what I just shared, this is it. So sovereign's going to rule in righteousness, Yahusha. Rulers are going to rule with them. He's appointing rulers to rule in right ruling. And they're going to be all these things that we mentioned through the Ruach without even having to be like appointed like on a very surface level, superficial, like established way. They're established in the Ruach, and they can loosen it. We can loosen it as servants, and people benefit from it. And we don't need the accolades. We don't need to, be admired or the reward, like to be like put on a pedestal for it. We're glad to just even be able to get to do it, like for the people. So as we are, so they are. Like the scriptures say, as the sovereign is, so are the people. So are his authorities. So are his men and the people, the nation. And so monkey see, monkey do. And so that's something he does in the Ruach with his rulers. When they loosen what they're like, we're putting this stuff in the air. Everybody can loosen a little something in the air at the subconscious level. You're putting it out. What you're thinking all of a sudden, you run into somebody, they start talking about the same thing you were talking about. That's because you loosened it and they picked up what you were talking about in the air. It's like a 5G signal in there. And then it connected y'all together, it gravitated y'all, in the cosmic realm. But it's happening through rational means in our paradigm. But nonetheless, those things are like 2G, 3G signals. We're like 5G, 6, like 7G signals. You know what I'm saying? Where ours is just a little bit greater. Those are like the differences between a little dynamite explosion or grenade explosion of influence here and there to like an atomic bomb. So the right rulers, we got like the the rulers of Yahuwah. Yeah, so the rulers who rule in righteousness of Yahusha, they loosen like an atomic bomb of eternal peace, love, and joy, and the fruit of the Ruach, understanding, the hiding place, the rivers, the shadow of a great rock, and a weary land, or shelter from the downpour, from the delusions. Puts everything. We put everything right on an atomic, or picks up what we're putting out, and so we become a chad in that. There's this like underlying subconscious understanding, that we have, inner knowing, and it works. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and conclude the message. I think I said enough. Said all I really wanted to say. And that is the scripture at hand, and conveying it and showing what I mean by breaking that down, some of that earlier. So with that, I bid y'all farewell. May YashaYAHu barakatah, barak you, favor you, and increase you, and guard you, and protect you, and strengthen you, and keep you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you, and be compassionate and favorable towards you. Yahuwah lift his countenance and presence and essence upon you, and give you shalom, and fill you with all the fruit of his ruach, that we might be a light to one another, that we might sharpen each other as iron sharpens iron, that we might prepare each other to be a perfect, spotless, pure virgin bride before Adaninu, Alahinu, Al Mashiachinu, Adanainu, Aishainu, Araish, Yahusha Mashiach, that we might be worthy to enter the marriage wedding supper of the Lamb, to be brought into his chambers, be brought into your chambers, Yahusha Mashiach, that we might be Achad one, that we abide in you and you abide in us, that we be perfect as you are perfect. For you, YashaYAHu, YashaYAHu, to make us perfectly in your image in Ruach HaKodesh. And so we palal and petition these things, YashaYAHu, YashaYAHu, and Ruach HaKodesh, the praise and todah and gratefulness by the power of the Dam of the Shah, the renewed covenant, by your power and authority, YashaYAHu Mashiach, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Wali, Doro Doro Doro, Aman, Aman, Aman. Halal Yahuwah, Yahusha. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. That I bid you farewell. Shalom, shalom, Yasharal. Shalom, shalom, Mashpaka. Shalom, shalom, Ahavata.